everyone, this is a new episode of the Russian Arc. My name is Andrey Afanasyev.
And my name is Angelika Karetkina.
We're happy to welcome you and our great guests to our studio. We're recording this show, this episode on May 22nd, the feast of St. Nicholas, the spring feast of St. Nicholas in Orthodox Church. And today we're joined by two brilliant students of MGIMO. It's the high-profile elite university here in Moscow, and they have just come back from their trip to Donbass. Daniel, Anton, we're happy to welcome you. Please tell us your story. How students of Russian Harvard end up in the war zone?
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, the idea of coming to Donbass with some humanitarian support came to our mind, I guess, in the end of my first course, because I was always dreaming about coming there, like from, I guess, 2014, when the war started. And our main goal was to provide some help, some humanitarian aid to Donbass people, as well as bring some moral support, which is much more important, in fact. Yeah, we just called upon our students, upon our friends, and said that we're going to go to Donbass with humanitarian expedition. And a lot of them said that we want to join, and they joined. And our first trip was, I guess, it was on August 2024. Then we had two more trips, and the latest one were during the May holidays. We went to the Nikolo-Vasilyevskiy monastery in the village of Nikolskoye, adjacent to Ugledar, where we helped to restore the monastery and a church in the village.
It's great that we're discussing your mission to places of St. Nicholas in Donbass on the day of his feast. Anton, tell us your story.
Byron once said, "I cannot view my paradise without the wish to dwell anywhere." And as for me, paradise is not a place, but a state of my soul. And it is the state where I feel my own existence connected to the eternal existence as proper as possible. And during this trip, I wanted to understand the idea of eternal life. And I wanted to make sure that eternal life is real. And in my opinion, eternal life is not about being immortal. Eternal life is about the construction and reconsideration of the idea of death. And during our expedition, I understood that the eternal life exists indeed, and Christianity is not only a category of some mythological or something like this. Christianity is an idea of our metaphysical existence, and it was very important for me to understand these things. And of course, if the life is endless, if the life is eternal, it's high time to make it better, and especially for people who are in need.
How many people were in your group?
Well, speaking of the latest trip, or yes, during the latest trip we had 7 students, and speaking of other trips, we had from 5 till 12 students each year.
Just for our viewers to understand, the monastery our friends have recently visited was on the brink of the war, on the front line. For more than 2 years, for 2.5 years, since the beginning of the SMO. And on the one side of the monastery were Russian troops, on the other side were Ukrainian troops, and Ukrainians were shelling it for all of this time. The main cathedral, the Uspensky Cathedral of monastery, was hit for more than 20 times with rockets, also Western-made HIMARS rockets, and still survived. And it was one of the most dangerous places. The road to Nikolo-Vasilyevskiy monastery was called the Road of Death, because a lot of journalists, volunteers, and servicemen were killed trying to reach out to the monastery with some humanitarian aid throughout these years. And some of my friends and some of prominent military journalists, like Semyon Yeremin, for example, they were killed there on this very road leading directly to Nikolskoye. You were driving. After the front line was driven westwards in autumn 2024, it has become slightly safer. But still, this place,
still dangerous.
Still, this place is dangerous. And what did you feel when you found yourself in this sphere, in this area, and in this context of ruins that still smell like the war was just happening there?
Of course, the situation here is not very easy still. It's quite dangerous because we can find a lot of mines, for example, and also we faced some drone attacks. So there is some kind of rule that here in Donbass you need to watch sky and watch ground. Because it's very dangerous, like just to make your path from the dormitory to the church where we work, and we were witnesses of some cases where the mines are very, very unclear, unclear to determine them. So speaking of our feelings, I need to say that there was not fear. I think not only from my side, but also from the side of my friends, of my fellows, because we all understand what are we doing there. We all understand why we go there, and we understand that we face some danger, but we bring some mission, a very significant mission. That's why we know what we do, you know? Yeah.
It's so brave. It's unbelievable. My question is about the reaction of your friends, because
I wanted to ask the same.
As for me, what I see, young people of your age, it seems that they don't really care what is happening now.
What did your friends and relatives say?
Let's begin with relatives, with parents. For example, because my parents knew nothing about my trip.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
Last Christmas, I took part in an expedition of an African priests in Russia, and I was an interpreter in their
Would
group.
you show them this show?
No. I showed some Russian monasteries in Middle Russia for African priests, and at that time I told my parents that I will do the same thing. That's why I will have no connection. I will not call them for a long time. But of course, when I came back, I tell them the truth. I told them the truth, and they were, of course, surprised. But I think they were kind of proud of this situation.
I would be proud as well.
Yeah.
I would be proud as well. Of course, it's a stress. When I first time went to Donbass back in 2022, I also told my relatives that, well, I'm going to Rostov just for a business trip to record some monasteries, and only my wife knew the whole truth, well, because she's wife. But generally, I understand why you didn't tell the whole truth, because you didn't want to lie, but I think you just want to keep your parents safe from excessive stress. What about your parents?
Well, speaking of me, I told my parents that I go to sea.
Well, that was technically truth.
Yeah, that was technical truth, because in the very end of our expedition, we went to Mariupol and we really swam in Azov Sea. Watching the Azov Stal. In the distance, it was quite a romantic atmosphere. I sent a telegram historical message to my parents from there, like, I'm in Azov Sea, there is Azov Stal, a Russian Azov Stal. So they were surprised, but I said them eventually that I'm in Donbass, and that situation here is not very dangerous. Well, I needed to say them something that can make them more like
To calm them.
to calm them. Sorry. And I said that everything is organized. We have some priests with us. We have some guides with us. Like we have like a good accommodation,
Security.
food, security, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the funniest thing is that you always tell, well, I'm with security. How security can save you from a rocket? Well,
No. I was saying to my parents that there is almost no rocket shells in the areas where we go. Technically, mostly it was truth.
yeah.
Because the places we visited, they are not being like shelled with artillery for I guess a year or more. The only danger, a real danger, is drones and mines. Yeah.
But again, what was the reaction of your friends? Well, probably students from your university.
Generally speaking, the most friends of mine, the most number of friends of mine are patriots, and that's why they were very glad to hear such news that I will go to Donbass to help people there, and some of them asked me how can they join the next trip. Oh, expedition, of course, not a trip. Yes, some of them were shocked. Yes, but generally speaking, yeah, most of my
MGIMO
friends
is now quite patriotic university.
Yes, and I'm proud of my friends because of their reaction, because it was one more time than I understood that my friends are good people and I can rely on them.
What about you?
Yeah, my friends are also, of course, mostly patriotic people, but I need to say that MGIMO, as well as any other university in any other place in the world, is not just some kind of unilateral or
Solid structure.
Of course. There are different people with different views, and there were some friends of mine, some fellows of mine who I couldn't say condemned, but who said that they do not understand why I do this, who said that they were really confused with that, and they did not support that. The thing is that the majority of my friends, of course, supported me, and they understood why I do it, because I always say about my position, about my social, political position very clear publicly, and it's not a secret that I can go to Donbass, for example, for those who know me. Speaking of those who condemned this step, I need to say that after we came back from Donbass to Moscow, I know some guys from MGIMO who changed their view. You know, because I published some notes from my diary during my trip in my channel, and I also told a lot about this trip inside MGIMO and during some MGIMO parties, events, etc. In our Orthodox club, for example, and they changed their minds. I know a guy who was a liberal, like quite a radical liberal, and he was a total supporter of all the West agenda. He criticized the Russian government for the special military operation and other steps, but now he's quite loyal to the Russian government and he's a patriot.
Well, example matters, always.
Yeah. 5 or 10 years ago, young people were charmed by the West.
The so-called post-liberal Western values.
Yeah. What about nowadays? Well, are we still charmed with Western ideas?
To be honest, for Angelika and me, it is of a high interest because we are graduates of the same university.
Yeah,
and
but
I just cannot imagine that the majority of my classmates 20 years ago would accept this as your classmates accepted. And it's quite a change. I mean, we see this landslide change in the worldview of Russian elites, because MGIMO is the place where Russian elites are prepared.
Yeah, nowadays I could definitely say that the mind of Russian youth changed. It changed not under the pressure of the government or something like that. It changed just because young people see what's happening around, and especially at MGIMO, where we study international relations, we are observing world news, we are comparing some things, we provide some analysis of what is happening in the world, and people who talk with us, for example, who talk with some other students from different countries who study at MGIMO, they see that the Western agenda is in fact a propaganda agenda, and it's not with which the world can really develop further, and we need something new. The young people definitely understand now that Russia is some kind of unique civilization, and we need our own path, we need our own truth, and we need to defend this truth. either you're a student or a teacher or a volunteer, soldier, priest, no matter. On your place, you need to defend your Russian truth and defend the Russian idea.
10 or 15 years ago, it was impossible to imagine.
True. Anton, what's your point?
I agree with the friend of mine, because our faculty, School of Governance and Politics, I think is fulfilled with absolute patriotically thinking people, and they are glad to live in Russia. They will not agree to move anywhere, I presume. And as for me, I'm much more interested in Africa and Asia than Western world, because I see a lot of more a lot of categories which are more deeper in Africa or in Asia than they do in Western countries.
I believe that Western countries are now should be more interested in Russia, but not all of them do.
If you allow me to add,
Yeah.
I need also to say that I think that the main problem with Russian youth today is not their desire to do something in West fashion or to move to West or something. No, the main problem with Russian youth today is that most of them, like a lot of them, are really do not really care about what is happening. Yeah, so they're not our enemies. They just do not care. And our mission is to provide them an example of what can we do and why it is important. Because when we came back from our trip, they began to ask us.
Well, I would like now to present a great friend of mine, my colleague, war correspondent Vittorio Rangeloni, who is joining us via online messenger. Vittorio, hello. Do you hear us well?
Hello,
Hello.
I hear you perfectly.
Yeah. Vittorio, we are discussing the recent trip of students from MGIMO to Donbass. They visited Nikolo-Vasilyevskiy monastery. You and I, we were there back in autumn of 2024. What do you think about this? The students of a high-ranking university preparing the elites of today's Russia are visiting such dangerous places.
For me, it was a big pleasure to meet them, because I meet the guys in the monastery in Nikolskoye. I follow their mission for a day, and I was really surprised, because usually we meet at those kind of places, journalists, war correspondent, firstly, sometimes politician, but high-rank students, it was the first time for me. So I was a little bit surprised, but I saw that what they done with passion. They came not for get a dose of adrenaline or because just curiosity, but they want to see the truth, and they want to help. They want to do something with their hands, spend their time, their holiday, because it was the beginning of May. They decided to spend their time helping the people in Donbass. They really understand that the Donbass now, in the Donbass, the people are building the root, the basement for the society of the future. And they came, they saw what is happening, they participate to the Russia of future.
You are dedicating a lot of your effort to covering the news from Donbass and Russia and worldwide for Italian audience. You have a big Italian audience. How did your Italian-speaking audience receive the news and the coverage of trip of our friends to Donbass?
Someone can't believe that it was a wish of the students. It was not organized, but someone by political parties.
Yeah, they were forced to go there.
Some movement. it was. I meet Lada, a young girl, that it was her idea to came make a team and of colleagues of students and go to the Donbass and share and spend some time. So in Europe, not everyone understand this mentality, the Russian, the Russian mentality, the approach, and it's difficult sometimes to explain what is really happening. But when people see with their eyes, they start to understand. And I think in Italy, it's there are also many students that maybe in future will join this kind of group. They are interested. It's difficult now because of the borders, the long trip to come to Russia. But the important thing is people see that it's possible, and also young students, young guy can do this and want to do this. It's a unique experience because there are no filters, there are no media between that can impose some describe as they want the situation. The students arrive and see with their eyes the truth. So it's really a great possibility, great experience, and I believe that in Italy a lot of young people like to do the same.
Great idea. Thank you so
Great,
much,
yeah.
Vittorio, and
Thank
happy
you.
feast of Saint Nicholas. We know that it's a special saint for you. Vittorio Rangeloni, war correspondent, just joined us. So,
Something unbelievable, no?
something unbelievable, and
If we will
Vittoria has formulated a great idea to make this mission international. Would you welcome students from abroad to your groups?
Indisputably.
Yeah, of course. You know, the thing is that during our latest trip, we already done that. And for example, in our mission took part two guys from Brazil, from the Federative Republic of Brazil. The fact is that they consider themselves Russians, but they lived their whole lives in Brazil. They came here. They started to talk to us, to study with us, and they came to the conclusion that they wanted to become Orthodox. They were baptized
There or here?
there.
There.
In
And
Brazil,
they were baptized there.
in Brazil, they were considering such opportunity, and when they came here to Russia, they were baptized here in Russia, in Moscow, and they became Orthodox. They got Orthodox names, and I can say that I have never came across such a Russian patriotic friend as my friend from Brazil. His name is Georgi. His Orthodox name is Georgi. And it really inspires everybody, and especially us Russians, like native Russians, to understand what Russia is, what is Russian style, why should we do the deal our country is doing now.
Well, I know that both of you are Orthodox Christians, and for you guys, this trip wasn't just a humanitarian mission, but also sort of a pilgrimage, because the place you visited is really a holy place, and I've been there, and I felt myself this divine energy, this grace of God that still presents there, even though it suffered the atrocities of war. So spiritually, as young Orthodox Christians, what did you get from this trip?
You know, it's a very important question, because I understood very basic but very important idea for me, that the birth is an event that is uncontrollable for the object of the birth, and death is inevitable for the object of life. But resurrection is always a miracle, and we took part in the process of resurrection, and we were able to see this resurrection alive and to become a people who were kind of witnesses of this event. And it's a real miracle in my destiny, this memory, and we'll never forget this experience because it was really important for me.
Yeah, you know, there in the Nikolo-Vasilyevskiy monastery, I guess we all really felt the true life. Because here in Moscow, we always face some hustle and bustle, you know, we don't really feel what a human, what a person should be like. There in the monastery, we felt ourselves being located on some island of faith. That's literally the island of faith, because it was cut of any civilian places, yeah, where civilization, where there is some civilization, and people who did not leave this place during the war, who stayed there, who chose to stay there. They are really people who believe in God. But I also want to say about a miracle we faced. There in Nikolskoye, while repairing a monastery, we met a guy from Portugal. He's a blogger, he's an anti-fascist blogger, and it was not his first trip to Donbass. He was there several times, and he decided to become Orthodox. And our group was led by Archpriest Igor Fomin, the rector of the MGIMO church, honored of Alexander Nevsky, the great and most famous Russian prince.
And patron saint of Russian diplomats.
Diplomats, yes, both diplomats and warriors. And there in Nikolskoye, right in this church, which was totally demolished by the Ukrainian forces, he got the Saint Baptism. And he got the Orthodox name of Ioan. And it was a miracle, because, you know, we decided to baptize him in honor of John the Warrior, Ioan Voin in Russian. And after a while, I guess in 5 hours or so, we found on the place where he was baptized an icon of John the Warrior, you know. It was such a miracle. We brought this icon for him to Donetsk and gave him as a gift for commemoration. Yeah, and you know, also in this place there were no connection, for example, no internet connection, no mobile connection, and we literally lived in nature. We literally spoke to people naturally. I even needed to call to my significant other to Moscow using a very old, unportable phone in a building which was damaged by HIMARSes. There was a building which suffered 5 direct hits of HIMARSes, and it was totally destroyed. And we helped to recover it, to make some columns from cinder blocks in order to support it. So it was an amazing experience, I need to say.
What's next? I mean, I believe that it's just the beginning of something bigger, because you inspired a lot of young people here in Russia, in Moscow. Also, you already see foreigners being interested in joining this. Do you see this as a platform for something bigger?
Of course. In my opinion, then military activities will become less intensive. A lot of people would be sincerely glad to help to reconstruct some territories in Donbass. Of course, not only Christian places, but also in living places, just civil places. And I think it will be a very important page for the generations which will come after us, and for our generations, our generation too. Yes, I think there will be a very bright future for Donbass.
I'm so impressed.
So am I. Friends, what do you have to say to our global audience? Because our shows are published on social media and are watched globally. What's your message to the world?
Our message to the world? Well, basically, we need to definitely understand a very important thing. Today, not only Russia, but the whole world is facing something very, very significant, very important. I would say even in scales of Bible. And the events which are happening now in the world, in Ukraine, in Europe, in the US, in Russia, they show us that something is changing. From the Christian point of view, we see that the world is going directly to the apocalypse. I mean that, unfortunately, if we consider the events in the West, in the Western countries, we see that West is keeping itself more and more distant from the Christian values, from its own culture, from the culture which made West great once in history. And the mission of Russia in these events is to become a new Ark, a new Noah's Ark, which will provide some support and some place for everybody who wants to just who wants just to stay a normal person, who wants to stay a person with high culture, who wants to raise their children in a normal, sustainable future, in normal schools, in a normal society with normal traditional values. Russia today is the only country, the only force which can provide it. And that's why we can call upon everybody in the whole world not just to see what is happening, but to do. If you feel you're unable to do something in your country, move to Russia. Speak about Russia to the foreign auditorium, because we need to save us today. Because saving us, we save our future generations, our children. The West today is becoming more and more close to Sodom. Yeah. Mostly providing this neoliberal agenda, these sodomites and other weird things. So we need to understand who we are. We need to understand that Christ is the main we need in our life, and without Him, nothing can be made.
Anton.
Ancient philosopher Plato once used a metaphorical construction where he connected a human soul to the landscape of society, and he said that every society can be metaphorically showed by a person's personality. I want to say that if we want to live healthy life, we want to be happy, and we want our friends to be happy. We want to be normal people. We should make a society which works as we want our soul and our personality to work. If we want to live in a society which is fulfilled with honor, which fulfilled with moral and culture, we should become a people of culture, of honor, and people of moral. And this way, I hope everyone will try to live this way, and hope our society will become a good person.
I can't believe I hear all that ideas from two students.
Well, dear friends, this is the voice of Russian future. These two young men represent what is going to happen in our country. What about your nation? Before answering this question, buy tickets for the Russian Ark. They're free. My name is Andrey Afanasyev.
And my name is Angelika Karetkina. See you.
Bye.